This ends what has been a class week for the Washington Redskins and Doug Williams in particular. Our congratulations to Joe Gibbs, the Redskins, and in particular Doug Williams. Sensational.
And the same too for the Denver Broncos. You don't lose at all. There's Danny Rees. Class player, class coach, class organization. You don't win your conference championship, and even though you get blown away in the Super Bowl, it's a pretty good organization. They need some work. They knew they needed it a year ago. They need some heavy work on the defensive unit, and they'll go out and get it done.
Unanswered points for the Washington Redskins, led by that guy Doug Williams. And
not a great shot.
Talk about your moment in the sun. Well deserved.
Super Bowl MVP, signed as a backup after the USFL folded. Almost traded to the Raiders. Almost.
And how much farther could we be from Tampa? How long ago that must seem to Doug Williams.
He's the Super Bowl MVP, and the Redskins the Super Bowl champs. 42-10. Stay with us for post-game activities coming up next. This ABC Sports exclusive has been brought to you by Shearson Lehman Hutton, the financial firm for the serious investor. By AT&T. AT&T is the right choice. By Federal Express to remind you that it's not just a package, it's your business. And by Budweiser, proud sponsor of the 1988 U.S. Olympic team. This Bud's for you. Once again, more coming up on our postgame show. Interviews and the presentation of the Vince Lombardi Trophy. Final score from San Diego. The Washington Redskins 42 and the Denver Broncos 10.
A promotional fee has been paid to ABC by United Airlines, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve. Come fly the friendly skies.
More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. Peter Jennings, the most professional network news anchor, says electronic media.
What you can expect from ABC News is the depth and the reach to cover the globe.
Expect the world of ABC News.
The Kentucky Derby, the Preakness Stakes, the Belmont Stakes. This spring, ABC Sports is proud to present the Chrysler Triple Crown Challenge.
Save on Ford's front runners. Now at your Tidewater Ford dealer. Like the front-wheel drive Ford Escort. Save over $1,100 on the best-selling car in the world with cash back plus option savings. Or the front-wheel drive Ford Taurus. Save over $1,300 on the best-selling car in its class before you get our own best deal. The Ford Front Runners, out in front in sales and value. Hurry, see any one of your Tidewater Ford dealers now for the best selection.
This is a station where we got to work all the time, and we have to work very hard, and so do our competitors. And that means better television for the people who watch. Naturally, I want most of them to watch us. And I think when most of them find out how good we are at it, that they will.
We're gonna grill on the beef, spread on the cheddar. McDonald's cheddar melt. First, we're grill on the beef, spread on the cheddar. Cold and saucy. Much better now. Grill up the onion, stack it on a rye bun. Cheddar melt. For a limited time, so come on, all together say. Bring on the beef. Spread on the cheddar. It's a good time for the great taste of McDonald's.
Just $1.39.
For a limited time.
Convenience store employees rally for safety on Light News.
Washington 42, Denver 10. After Denver had scored the first 10 points of the game, Washington with 5 second-quarter touchdowns, and that's a live shot. Wisconsin and M Street in our nation's capital, where right now it's about 10 minutes past 10 o'clock, and they are just getting underway.
And it's well-deserved, too. They are great football fans in Washington, and they have a lot to be proud about. They've had a lot to be proud about ever since Joe Gibbs arrived there. It's a remarkable record. He's winning his coach in terms of percentage in the NFL, and they certainly performed beautifully here today. Getting down 10-0, coming back like they did.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the last time I saw a game that had a swing like this. I mean, where Denver just explodes out of the blocks. I mean, their first play, that bomb from Elway to Natil, and then all of a sudden it's 10-0. And remember, Washington is now backed up to like their own 20-yard line, and we're talking about the importance of whether their defense can dig in and make a stand. And they did. Denver didn't score, and look what happened. I can't recall a game where it's turned around like this.
And look at the way Washington closed its year at the end of the season, the way they beat Minnesota in overtime in the regular season. They get down to Chicago at Soldier Field by 2 touchdowns on the icy day, and they win that game. They have the big goal line stand and give up only the tying field goal, then get the key touchdown last week, and today bounce back.
And able to do what they did defensively against John Elway. No one in recent weeks has been able to handle John Elway that way. Give a lot of credit to Richie Bettafone, the defensive coordinator, and the way they used both Charles Mann and Manley. And Manley was all over the football field today, but they played a containing type of defense, and it was very effective against the man who's been so hot.
You know, another thing that comes to mind is the decade of the 80s and how it belongs to the NFC in the Super Bowl, where the decade of the 70s belonged to the AFC. Pittsburgh and Miami dominated, but here in the 80s, it belongs to the senior conference.
Another NFC round. Right now, let's go downstairs to Keith Jackson.
Thank you very much, Al. And here it is just beginning to grow in enthusiasm and fervor, and why wouldn't it? Commissioner Pete Rozelle holding the object of the Washington Redskins' affection, the Vince Lombardi Trophy.
Well, here we have the leader of our new America's team, owner Jack Kent Cooke. And Jack obviously was a scintillating performance by the Redskins. That second quarter, incidentally, most valuable player, Doug Williams, scored more points. He was the main driving force, of course, for the second quarter than we ever scored in one quarter in the 68-year postseason history of the National Football League. Hail the Redskins.
I tell you, Pete, it's a tribute not only to a black quarterback, but to a very great quarterback. And we mustn't forget the Ricky Sanderses and all the rest of the great performances, the Timmy Smiths and so on. All I can say is that I'm terribly proud to have won 2 out of 3 Super Bowls, and the entire credit goes to Joe Gibbs, to Bobby Beathard, the assistant coaching staff, and a magnificent band of football players. I hope to be in a Super Bowl next year.
Well, I know the commissioner doesn't really fall in love with that word dynasty, Jack, but you guys ain't doing bad 2 out of 3 in the 80s.
I hope that there is the beginning of a dynasty here, and I have every reason to believe that perhaps we may suspect one. Thank you, Keith.
Well, you have had your NBA champions. You've had your NFL champions. I mean, my gosh, how long can this go on?
Well, it depends on how long I'm going to live, I think. I've got another 25 years, perhaps, in me, and I hope that we have many more championships for Washington.
There's one thing before we bring in Joe Gibbs that I want you to have some mention of, and that is the man who owns a ball club, who had the courage to go to his checkbook and pay $475,000 for a backup quarterback.
It was very easy to do because it was the essence of wanting to win so badly. Had it been $875,000 or $1,875,000, I would have said the same thing to Joe, but I would have said it quite a little bit reluctantly, but nevertheless I would have said it. Go ahead, Joe, and get him. It's the greatest thing that's happened to us to have Doug here. He's coming over here. He's a good friend of mine. He's a good friend of everybody on the club, and he's a real leader. But the best leader on the club is my dear friend Joe Gibbs, our head coach.
Thank you, Jack. Congratulations to you.
Joe?
Here comes Joe. Congratulations. Marvelous.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cooke.
Dear
Appreciate
Joe.
everything, your support and everything. We're thrilled. Thank you, Commissioner. I feel very humble right now from a Redskins standpoint. I feel very humble, and I'm just thrilled to be a part of this. Hey, I thank God I have a chance to work in an organization like this, have an owner like this, and all those things that support me, the coaching staff and our fans, and it really was a team effort for us, so I appreciate it very much.
Somebody had to put all the nuts and bolts and pieces together, and I just have to say nobody's done it better in the 80s than you have.
Well, I think it's a tribute to our organization. It's from top to bottom. It starts with the big boss, and Bobby Bether gets the players, and John Cooke, and everybody in our organization. Mr. Cooke feels the same way as the fans and our coaching staff that Mr. Cooke got from me. And I'm probably the most dependent guy out of all of them, and I just think, very thankful. Thank God, like I said, that I have a chance to be a part of this, and we're thrilled. Everybody in our Redskin organization. I'm the most thrilled for everybody that got to enjoy it. And Mr. Cooke is, too. All of our fans and everybody that came out here.
That's great, Joe. It is said all society owes an individual as an opportunity, and we had a man today exercise that brilliantly. We'll be visiting with the man who did it, the MVP, Doug Williams, a man of opportunity, and they are whooping it up in Georgetown.
You're on, George!
ABC Sports Exclusive, being brought to you by Bud Light, proud sponsor of the 1988 U.S. Olympic team, and by IBM and the IBM Personal System 2 family.
Listen to the taste of a salad tossed fresh at McDonald's. Chicken salad, Oriental, garden, and chef. All day, every day, tossing them fresh. Chicken salad, Oriental, garden, and chef. At McDonald's, listen to the taste. Listen to it. Listen to the taste. Listen to the taste. Sauce fresh all day. Listen to the taste every day at McDonald's.
Sports fans, you're probably wondering who had the fastest moving team on today's game. Let's see that again in slow-mo. The IBM Personal System 2. The fastest-selling computers in the history of computers.
And in the goal for the United States, Bud Light owns Bud McKenzie. His name is Bud McKenzie. And in goal for the USA. Stopping pucks both left and right. You know the crew can flat out play. When the pucks stop flying, there's no denying. Spud celebrates with Bud Light. He knows everything else is just a light.
This Bud Light is out of sight, my little Spudsky.
Sometimes even Pat Riley's stomach can lose its cool. That's when he reaches for Rolaids. Nothing works better for acid indigestion, so Pat's free to let his emotions really show.
Not bad.
Relief. You know how to spell it.
Chocolate is scrumptious when it crunches. That's why I love Nestle Crunch. That's why I love Nestle Crunch.
IBM would like to take time out to remind you that the clock is running. So don't penalize your business by delaying too long. Get an IBM Personal System 2 and enjoy the safety of knowing you made the right decision.
Blue suede shoes, blue.
We grew up with his music.
Blue suede
She grew up at his side.
Blue suede shoes, well, you can do anything but they
Priscilla Presley tells how it was. Elvis and me, 1 week from tonight.